Oh, good morning, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I just was looking at the chat and happy birthday, Melissa. Where is Melissa? Oh, there she is. Now, with the internet, most people get to celebrate their actual birthday for about 36 hours. The 24 that is in your own time zone, and about 12 that belongs to other people's time zones. So it's like the miracle of being present in different places that they talk about. One body, but present in a few places. So as I say, these common siddhis, technology and research and all that have accomplished many of these common siddhis. The uncommon siddhi of solving the problem of dukkha, that, not yet, technology. Somebody once asked His Holiness the Dalai Lama and said, if one day they can figure out how to solve this problem of dukkha, and it can be solved by taking like one pill, what do you think? I think when they asked him that question, it was more rhetorical. They'll probably think he would say, oh no, you should not, or because we tend to think, like spiritual religious people are all into like, suffering. Do it the hard way. So as the Dalai Lama kind of chuckled, and then he said, well, I'll be the first one to swallow that pill. I said, it makes no sense to, stay longer in confusion. And if there is such a pill, why would you not take it? All right, he said that. Then after that, he said, but I doubt this will ever be discovered. He said, this is the problem of the mind. So material cannot fundamentally change mind in this way. So this is the ultimate commitment of Dharma versus secular sciences. Dharma ultimate commitment is, when I say commitment, what I mean here, I'm using it in a technical sense. What I mean is like where they draw the line, that line that you cannot really cross. It's like the rules of the tradition. That's what I mean by commitment, the rules of the tradition. So the rules of modern science is fundamentally grounded in the material view of the world, which is like all the things in the world can be understood and solved by way of materiality. I mean, again, this is a general statement. It's not saying that all scientists are committed to this, but that's a general line, whereas the Buddha Dharma says that which pertains to the mind, even if materiality can have some effect, ultimately mind is the boss. Material or form is the servant, so to say. So the servant can never solve the problems of the boss, but the boss can solve some of the problems of the servants, depending on how powerful the boss is. The boss can solve the servants' problems, but the servants, in the end, the servants can make things more comfortable for the boss, for sure. But the servants in the end cannot solve the problems of the boss. In the end, the boss has to solve it herself, and that is the mind. So anyway, page 4. In the space before me, I envision the Buddha, Lord of Sages, surrounded by unfathomable root and lineage gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas. Dungi namgar dompa dube wampo la guru saju ki lama dha sanje changsen paktu mebe kone zhung par sam. Antonio? Antonio, please unmute.
I and all my sentient beings, extensive as a space, take refuge in the root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in perfect Buddhas, transcendent conquerors. We take refuge in the holy Dharma, free from attachment and peaceful nirvana. We take refuge in the noble assembly of bodhisattvas, endowed with realization and liberation.
Dadan rawa margyo namke dadan nyampe semje tamje zawa dang kyube lama namla gyabzu jiwo sobe sanje chom dende namla gyabzu jiwo shiva charya dambe cho namla gyabzu jiwo ridro niden gyalze pape so namla gyabzu jiwo Dadan rowa margyo namke dadan nyampe senjen tamje sawa dang gyube lama namla gyabzu jiwo sobe sanje chom dende namla gyabzu jiwo shiva charya dambe cho namla gyabzu jiwo ridro niden gyase pape so namla gyabzu jiwo dadan rowa margyo namke dadan Yampe zenjen tamje zawa dang gyube lama namla gyabzu jiwo sobe sanje chom dende namla gyabzu jiwo shiva charya dambe cho namla gyabzu jiwo ridro niden gyase pape so namla gyabzu jiwo. So here, this translation, we take refuge in the Holy Dharma, free from attachment to nirvana, free from attachment to nirvana. So here is talking about that kind of limited understanding of nirvana as a state of just complete peace, and almost you could say like zone out into peace, and then completely oblivious. And not concerned, about anything else, but just in this kind of state of quiet and peace. And so here, indirectly, it's saying, we need to have a vast view of the Dharma, so that even if we arrived initially out of our own desire for that peace and quiet, we should understand that that is just a stepping point, a stepping stone, a beginning point. And we have to go beyond that limited motivation of just my own peace and quiet. So the peace and quiet of going up to the mountains, the peace and quiet of being in retreat. It doesn't mean, to come out of retreat and go to the busyness. It means even in the silence of the retreat, even in the aloneness of retreat, up in the mountains, hidden in your apartment, it always has to be, thinking of the situation of all beings, and to be motivated by that, to work hard, based on recognizing the situation of all beings who have once been our mothers. Which brings us to the top of page 5. Sandra, please.
May all sentient beings who have not realized that a self and all appearances are by nature dharmadhatu have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness which is free from suffering. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion.
Dada nangwa tamche chogi yingi ranshin yinpa de dharma tsob tongpe semchen tamche dewa dan tewen kendan dambar gyuji tungyao dang tungyao ki gyudan trewa gyuji tungyao mepe dewa dhamme trewa gyuji niring chadang nidang trewa tanyong la nebara gyuji dada nangwa tamche chogi yingi ranshin yinpa la de dharma tobe semchen tamche dewa dang dewe gyudan dembar gyurji tungyao dang tungyao ki gyudang drewa gyurji tungyao mepe dewa dhamme drewa gyurji nirin chadang nidang drewa tanyong la nepara gyurji dadan angwa tamche jugi yingi ranshin yinpa la de dharma tobe semchen tamche dewa dang dewe gyudan dembar gyurji tungyao dang tungyao ki gyudan drewa gyurji tungyao mepe dewa dhamme drewa gyurji niring chadang nidang drewa kamnyong la nepra gyurji. So, for example, there are some interpretations of these four immeasurable minds. These four immeasurable minds are also known as the four divine dwellings, which is the dwelling places of divine beings. So it is explained that there are some of these devas, God realm, in beyond the central realm of the gods, in the form sense, in the form realm of the gods. Some of these gods, they're called Brahmas. And Brahma is not just one figure in the Buddhist context. It's a whole class of beings that are called Brahmas. So some of these Brahma realms, people are born in these Brahma realms because they have meditated strongly on these four qualities: loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. So based on that, there are some level of interpretation whereby it is said that these four, what we call here immeasurable minds, at most is still a feature of cyclic existence. That while they take you to a very good place within cyclic existence, as for the state of Buddha, it transcends even these four immeasurable minds. So the way they understand the state of liberation or nirvana, is that in nirvana, these four immeasurable minds kind of fall away. Because they say these four immeasurable minds is still based on subject and object. Whereas in the state of nirvana, everything is peace or tranquil. Everything is relaxed, tranquilo. Everyone just no problem, just no more even talking about love and compassion. The Mahayana level says, no, that's a mistaken view. The Mahayana level says, yes, in terms of these four qualities, as long as subject-object is still in place, right? Then yes, the highest this can take you to is a very good place within samsara, in these Brahma realms, in this divine realms of dwelling, where you dwell there for long periods of time, completely so suffused in love, compassion, joy, equanimity. But in the Mahayana understanding of this, and especially in Kyopa Jigten Sumgen, founder of Drigungkagyu, there it says, he says, the four immeasurables, not the four divine dwellings. So he doesn't use the expression divine dwellings. So here that means, in the Mahayana context, they distinguish between these four, you could say, qualities, but practice within the context of subject and object, they result in the four divine dwellings, the four divine abidings, which is still within cyclic existence. But when these four immeasurables are the four immeasurables, when these qualities are practiced with increasingly profound understanding, so that subject and object falls away, then these four are in fact the very essence of what Buddhas are. So all the Buddha qualities can be summarized actually by these four qualities. And so they are the four immeasurables. And so equanimity, the fourth one, in the first explanation that says, oh, in nirvana there is no, these emotions or these qualities don't exist when you achieve nirvana. In that system of understanding, they actually see these four as progressively more advanced states. They say you start with love, loving kindness. Then you develop that until you achieve compassion. Then you achieve joy. Then you achieve equanimity. So they say it becomes, so what you see here is a progression of impersonalization. It becomes more and more impersonal until equanimity, where it is almost no more persons. Then the final breakout is when you even go beyond equanimity into nirvana, where there is no more subject-object. That's how, the first view is. But in the Mahayana view, it says, no. That's not what's going on. It's not that that to achieve equanimity you have to give up these three. In fact, in the Mahayana recommendation, on the Mahayana level of training, it says you suffuse, you include equanimity from step one. So you first have an understanding, fundamentally, neither subject nor object can stand alone. Subject and object are always in reference to each other. So me who is meditating on loving kindness, all mother sentient beings that I am radiating loving kindness to, that this is interdependent. The subject and object is interdependent. From the start, these instructions says you need to have that understanding, even if it is intellectually, have that understanding that the one meditating on loving kindness and those to whom we are radiating loving kindness to, these two poles, you can say, of experience, subject, object, they are dependent on each other. And then what is being generated, what is being brought about, which is loving kindness, for example, even that is part of the equation here. So just subject, object, and the action are interdependent. So we begin by first understanding that. And that is the beginning of cultivating equanimity. So then throughout the meditation on loving kindness, compassion, and joy, it will always be also developing the equanimity, which is developing the wisdom understanding. So in terms of Lojong, the Lojong tradition of explaining the path, again you see the two bodhicittas at work. Yeah, ultimate bodhicitta is the wisdom aspect. Relative bodhicitta is the love and compassion aspect. Here, love, compassion, and joy. Yeah, that these two go hand in hand. Yeah. Randy, at the bottom of page 5.
May I swiftly attain the sublime state of perfectly complete awakening for the sake of all mother sentient beings. For this purpose, I shall make offerings to the 35 Buddhas, and having invoked their heart pledge, I shall engage in the practice of confessing downfalls.
Ma zemjen tamje ge dondu nirwa yanda bara zobe sanje ge gompa rinpoche dobar ja de je du dewa sheba sumju zanga jujing tungdam gune tongwa shabe chogala jung paraja The objects of refuge dissolve into us. Kyab yu nam rang la timpar gyuru. Page 9, please. Lucrezia, please, the section starting on page 9.
Okay. Compassionate, transcendent conquerors dwelling in the 10 directions, please hear us. In the past, when you, the 35 compassionate transcendent conquerors, engaged in bodhisattva deeds, you aroused bodhicitta and vowed to cleanse the obscurations of wandering beings in times when the 5 degenerations are rampant. Following this pledge, in order to protect us helpless wandering beings, today we invite you to safeguard and stand by us as our last resort. Having come, regard us with eyes of compassion and purify our faults and downfalls. Please come and cause our store of merit to increase.
Back to page 9. Juju na shube jum tende tuje jempur dan tempa namda la gongsu su jum tende tuje jempur dan tempa sumju zanga boge namngon jangju sembe jeba jobe ze Ningma ngaro dowa namgi dreba jungwar tukye jing tukdam jidra jewa deshindu denda cha gome gi dowa gyobele du gongkya dam pungnyen du jendre Jinji na tuje jingi jingne daja gi ne tong jungshin so namgi so pewe le du jumpara jina. to the bottom of page 22, all are dressed in the style of a renunciate Nirmanakaya and are adorned with the 32 excellent marks and the 80 minor marks, such as the crown protuberance and wheels on the feet. With their 60 aspects of melodious speech, they proclaim the clear sound of the great vehicle teachings. As their minds do not move from Vajra like Samadhi, they clearly understand all objects of knowledge in the 3 times. Their bodies are garbed in the 3 dharma robes, and garlands of light shine like the sun from their bodies to alleviate the pain of miserable destinies. With eyes open wide like lotus petals, they behold me and all sentient beings with great compassion. Upon merely beholding them, these great beings effortlessly accomplish the temporary and ultimate purposes of all sentient beings. They thus abide with legs in Vajra posture. As we raise beautiful jewel parasols with golden handles, delightfully adorned all around, with pleasing forms so lovely to behold, we make unceasing offerings to the lords of sages. Let's first take a few moments to let both body and mind settle evenly. Settle evenly into their own places. As breath arises, as you become aware of breath arising from within the body, feel how the body becomes invigorated and the mind becomes clear and sharp as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, as breath ceases, as the body relaxes, feel the mind experiencing vastness. Breathing in, clarity. Breathing out, vastness. Breathing in, body becomes strong, bright, healthy. Breathing out, body returns to a place of rest and ease and comfort. Breathing in, mind becomes clear without confusion. Breathing out, mind becomes even, spacious. And do this in the presence of the 35 Buddhists, our witnesses, our guests, our objects of refuge. Do this mindful of the qualities of the 35 Buddhas. In the center is Buddha Shakyamuni. And then in all directions surrounding Buddha Shakyamuni are the other 34 Buddhas. Now page 36, in the middle of that page, this begins the seven-limbed puja. And the first two limbs being paying homage and making offerings. Omar, can you read from the center of page 36? And then the next section, Claudia, on page 37.
To those, in as many words as exist in the 10 directions, all of these lions among humans, the Tathagatas of 3 times, to all of them, without exception, I prostrate with faithful body, speech, and mind. Through the power of this prayer for excellent conduct, may all the victorious ones vividly appear in my mind. With bodies as numerous as atoms in the universe, I respectfully bow down and pay homage to all the victorious ones.
In a single atom residing amidst their bodhisattva sons, there are as many Buddhas as there are atoms in the entire world. In the same way, I imagine the entire Dharma expanse to be completely filled with victorious ones. With the inexhaustible oceans of praise and oceans of melodious sounds extolling the noble qualities of the victorious ones, I praise all the Sugatas. To all those worthy of honor while offering praise with supreme faith, I bow unceasingly with bodies as numerous as dust motes in the universe.
Now back to the middle of page 36. Jine suda juju jitena dusum sheba miye senge gun dagi malu deda tamjela ludang ayi dangwe jagi wo sampo jobe monlam tomdagi yawa tamje iki ngun sumdu shingi dune luam tupayi yawa kunla rabdu chaselo duji dena dunye sanje nam sanje shiki una shubada Deda jugi inam malu ba tamje gyawa dagi gangwa mo Deda nga pa mize gyazo na yangi yenla gyazo dragunji Gyawa kunji yonte rabzo jin Dewa sheba tamje dagi to chaja oba tamje la Shindu kungi dranigi ludu bayi namkundu Chokdu debe toparji Page 48, continuing with the other 5 parts, which is the confession, then rejoicing, then requesting Buddhas to teach, then imploring them not to depart to nirvana, and then finally dedication. So page 48. Cecile, can you do page 48? And then Jasper, can you do page 49? Starting from middle of page 48, Cecile.
I confess whatever wrong I have done with my body, speech, and also mind while being overpowered by attachment, hatred, and ignorance. I rejoice in the merit of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, the solitary Buddhas, those on the path of learning, those beyond learning, and all beings.
All of those lights in the worlds of the 10 directions, who having passed through the stages of Buddha, attaining awakenings free from attachment, to all of these protectors, I bring you to turn the unsuppressed will of Dhamma. To all those who intend to demonstrate Nirvana, who with my palms joined together, I bring you to remain for the benefits and happiness of all beings, for as many kappas as there are atoms in the universe. Whatever slight virtue I may have gathered from prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and wishing, I dedicate it to all the awakening of all beings.
Now back to middle of page 48. Docha shedang timu hangi ne ludang adang de shin yi ki kyan tikpa dagi giba jiji ba deda tamje dagi sosore sha chochu gyawa kundan sanje se rangya namdan lodang me loda Rawa gunji sonam ganglayan deda gunji jisi da yirang Kanan joju jiden romadan janju rinpa sanje machane Gombo de da dagi tamje la kolo lana mepa korwa kul Nyangen da tung kanshe de da la rowa kun la penshin deve jir Kyoba shingi dunir subhaya dagi tamo rabja sowarji Chasa wadang chojin shabadan jise yirang kushing sowaye Gewa jungse dagi jisangpa tamje sobe janju jirngo Top of page 50. In accordance with the 35 Sugatas' aspiration to exhaust the karmic veils of those who remember their excellent names and pay homage to them, please bestow the fruits of this wish. So the start now of the main practice, again the sutra of the three heaps, the three elements. The first element is to remember and pay homage to the 35 Buddhas. Second is to expose our faults and abandon them, to leave them behind, to let them go. And the third is to rejoice in whatever good that we have practiced in terms of the 6 paramitas, and to completely dedicate all of them to the liberation and the Buddhahood of all beings without exception. So now first we will do this in English, and when I call your name, please read one section of the practice. Throughout all time, all sentient beings take refuge in the Guru, take refuge in the Buddha, take refuge in the Dharma, take refuge in the Sangha. Homage to the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, the perfectly complete Buddha Shakyamuni. Elena?
Homage to the one who has fully conquered with Vaya essence. Homage to the jewel radiant light. Homage to the sovereign king of Nagas. Homage to the leader of the brave.
Leonard?
Homage to the gorgeous joys. Homage to the jewel fire. Homage to the jewel moonlight. Homage to the meaningful to behold.
Adriana?
Homage to Jewel Moon, homage to the Stainless One, homage to Glorious Giving, homage to the Pure One.
Tracy, top of page 52. If you're there, you have to unmute. Homage to giving of purity, homage to water god, homage to the god of water gods, homage to good glory. Samantha?
Homage to glorious sandalwood, homage to infinite brilliance, homage to glorious light, homage to glory without sorrow.
Anna Isabel?
Homage to the sun of non-craving, homage to glory of flowers.
Vicky?
Homage to the Tathagata radiant pure display of complete omniscience.
Daniela?
Homage to the Tathagata completely omniscient display of lotus light. Homage to glory of wealth. Homage to glory of mindfulness.
Christina is not joining us today because she has a minor surgery that she has to do, and so we dedicate to her successful surgery. Homage to widely renowned glorious name, homage to the King victory banner that crowns the sovereign. Joyce, top of 53.
Homage to the glorious one who fully subdues. Homage to sublime victor in battle.
Rowan.
Homage to the one gone beyond through complete victory. Homage to glorious illuminating array. Homage to all subduing lotus jewel.
Fabiola. Homage to the king of Mount Meru, the Tathagata Arhat, perfect, complete Buddha, abiding on the jewel lotus. All these and all the Tathagatas, all the Arhats, however many perfectly complete Buddhas abide in all the worlds of the 10 directions, and all the Buddhas, the transcendent conquerors who prevail in this world, please heed me. Waiting the first half of 54.
In this and former life without beginning, in all the states of birth within samsara, I have committed evil deeds. I have instigated others and found joy in their crimes. I have stolen the wealth of stupa, the Sangha community, and the Sangha of the 10 directions.
Melissa, the second half.
I have incited others to steal and found joy in their thefts. I have committed the 5 immediate sins. I have incited others to commit them and have found joy in their downfalls. I have fully entered the path of engaging in the 10 unwholesome deeds, have incited others to enter it, and have found joy in their submission.
Top of 55, Larry.
Obscured by all these karmic veils, I and sentient beings have gone to hell, have gone to the birthplaces of animals, have gone to the worlds of hungry ghosts, have taken birth in savage places, as barbarians, as long-lived gods, and as humans with impaired sense faculties. I have turned to corrupted views and karmic obscurations from having failed to please the Buddhas I've encountered.
Laura Herman.
In the presence of the Bhagavan Buddha, wisdom mind, before their eyes, in their witness, before the authentic ones, the all-knowing one, the all-seeing ones, I disclose all these karmic obscurations. I declare them. I shall not hide them, and hereafter I shall sever and bind them.
56, Mariana, the first half of this page, and then followed by Rodrigo.
All Buddhas, transcendent conquerors, please heed us. I gather all the roots of virtue I have accumulated in cyclic existence through having acted generously towards another samsaric sentient beings, even only offering a mouthful of food to those born in the animal realm, together with any root of virtue from having guarded moral discipline, any root of virtue from having practiced pure conduct. Any root of virtue from having brought sentient beings to full maturity, any root of virtue from having given rise to bodhicitta, the mindset on supreme awakening.
Rodrigo, and then Miriam.
And any root of virtue from unsurpassed primordial awareness accumulated in these and former lives without beginning within samsara, all these I dedicate them perfectly, supremely, most supremely, and sublimely toward unsurpassed, perfectly complete awakening.
Miriam.
Just as the previous Bhagavan Buddhas perfectly performed dedication, and just as the Bhagavan Buddhas who have not yet appeared will perfectly perform dedication, and just as the present Bhagavan Buddhas perfectly perform dedication, likewise shall I perform perfect dedication. I confess each and every wrong, join and rejoice in all merit.
Ana Elisa, page 58.
I exhort and supplicate all Buddhas that I may attain unsurpassed, most excellent primordial wisdom. With my palms joined together, I wholeheartedly take refuge in all those with praiseworthy qualities as infinite as a vast ocean, all the Buddhas supreme among humans who exist at present, those who have passed into nirvana and those who have not yet appeared.
So now, back to page 50. This round, I'm going to chant the names in Tibetan before we read section 2 and section 3 together in English. Semchen tamche tangpa lama la gyabzu jiwa sanje la gyabzu jiwa jola gyabzu jiwa kenden la gyabzu jiwa chum dende deshin sheba da jumba yanda para sobe sanje shakya toba la jasa lo dorje nimpo rabdu jumba la jasa lo rinjen otro la jasa lo lo wangi gyabo la jasa lo Pavo de la jasalo, Belge la jasalo, Rinche me la jasalo, Rinche dao la jasalo, Tongwa dongyo la jasalo, Rinche dawa la jasalo, Rima me pa la jasalo, Pa jin la jasalo, Tsampa la jasalo, Tsampe jin la jasalo, Chul ha la jasalo, Chul he la jasalo, Pelzang la jasalo, Zenden bel la jasalo, Ziji taye la jasalo, Obel la jasalo, Nyange me pe bel la jasalo, Seme gi bu la jasalo, Meto bel la jasalo, Deshin sheba Tsampe oze namba roba, Ngombar genpa la jasalo, Deshin sheba beme oze namba roba, Ngombar genpa la jasalo, Nor bella jasalo, Trempe bella jasalo, Semper shindu yondra la jasalo, Wampo togi gyasengi gyambo la jasalo, Shindu number nombe bella jasalo, Yule shindu number gyawa la jasalo, Number nombe shebe bella jasalo, Gune nangwa gobe bella jasalo, Rinchen pema nambara nomba la jasalo, Deshin sheba da jumba, Yanda bara zobe sanje rinpoche, Pema la rabdu zupa, Re wangi gyabo la jasalo. All these and all the Tathagatas, Arahats, however many perfectly complete Buddhas abide in all the worlds of the 10 directions, and all the Buddhas, the transcendent conquerors who prevail in this world. Please heed us. Alexander, if you can read page 54. If you are there, please unmute and read page 54.
In this and former lives without beginning, in all states of birth within samsara, I have committed evil deeds. I have instigated others and found joy in their crimes. I have stolen the wealth of stupas, the Sangha community, and the Sangha of the 10 directions. I have incited others to steal and found joy in their thefts. I have committed the 5 immediate sins, have incited others to commit them, and have found joy in their downfalls. I have fully entered the path of engaging in the 10 unwholesome deeds, have incited others to enter it, and have found joy in their submission.
Page 55, Kimberly.
Obscured by all these karmic veils, I and sentient beings have gone to hell, have gone to the birthplaces of animals, have gone to the worlds of hungry ghosts, have taken birth in savage places as barbarians, as long-lived gods, and as humans with impaired sense faculties. I have turned to corrupted views and karmic obscurations from having failed to please the Buddhas I encountered. In the presence of the Bhagavan Buddha, wisdom mind, before their eyes, in their witness, before the authentic ones, the all-knowing one, the all-seeing ones, I disclose all these karmic obscurations. I declare them. I shall not hide them, and hereafter I shall sever and bind them.
The top of page 56, Maurice, starting from there.
All Buddhas, transcendent conquerors, please heed me. We gather all the roots of virtue we have accumulated in cyclic existence through having acted generously towards other samsaric sentient beings, even only offering a mouthful of food to those born in the animal realm. Together with any root of virtue from having guarded moral discipline, any root of virtue from having practiced pure conduct, any root of virtue from having brought sentient beings to full maturity, any root of virtue from having given rise to bodhicitta, a mindset on supreme awakening.
Ana Santos, page 57.
And any root of virtue from unsurpassed primordial awareness accumulated in these and former lives without beginning within samsara, all these I dedicate them perfectly, supremely, most supremely, and sublimely towards unsurpassed, perfectly complete awakening. Just as the previous Bhagavan Buddhas perfectly performed dedication, and just as the Bhagavan Buddhas who have not yet appeared will perfectly perform dedication, and just as the present Bhagavan Buddhas perfectly perform dedication, likewise shall I perform perfect dedication. I confess each and every wrongdoing and rejoice in all merit.
Antonio, page 58.
I exhort and supplicate all Buddhas that I may attain unsurpassed, most excellent primordial wisdom. With my palms joined together, I wholeheartedly take refuge in all those with praiseworthy qualities, as infinite as a vast ocean, all the Buddhas, supreme among humans, who exist at present, those who have passed into nirvana, and those who have not yet appeared.
Back to page 50. This time I'm going to again chant the names in Tibetan, and then I'm going to continue to read the other two sections in English. So this is a good time for anyone who wants to get up and do a few prostrations to do that. You don't have to worry of being called to do any of the readings. So now starting on page 50. Semjen tamje tapar lama la gyabzu jiwa sanje la gyabzu jiwa chola gyabzu jiwa kenden la gyabzu jiwa jum dende deshin sheba rajum ba yangda pra sobe sanje shakya tumba la jase la duje ningpo rabdu jumba la jasa la rinjen ojo jase la Lu wangi gyabo la jasa lo pavo de la jasa lo pyoge la jasa lo rinjen me la jasa lo rinjen dao la jasa lo tongwa nungyo la jasa lo rinjen dawa la jasa lo drema me ba la jasa lo pe jin la jasa lo tsangpa jin la tsangpa la jasa lo tsangpe jin la jasa lo chu la jasa lo chu le la jasa lo Peo Zhang la jasa lo, Zenden Peo la jasa lo, Shiji Taye la jasa lo, O Peo la jasa lo, Nyange Me Peo la jasa lo, Zeme Ki Bu la jasa lo, Medo Peo la jasa lo, Deshin Sheba Zambe Oze Namba, Roba Ngumpara Gempa la jasa lo, Deshin Sheba Beme Oze Namba Roba, Ngumpara Gempa la jasa lo, No Peo la jasa lo, Rinpe Bela Jazalo, Zempe Shindu Yondrala Jazalo, Wampo Togi Gyasengi Gyapola Jazalo, Shindu Nampara Nompe Bela Jazalo, Yule Shindu Nampara Gyawala Jazalo, Nampara Nompe Shebe Bela Jazalo, Gune Nangwa Kobe Bela Jazalo, Rinjen Pema Nampara Nompala Jazalo, Dijin Shepa Rajumba, Yanda para sobe sanje rinpoche pema la rabdu shukpa ri wangi gyabo la all these and all the Tathagatas, Arhats, however many perfectly complete Buddhas abide in all the worlds of the 10 directions, and all the Buddhas, transcendent conquerors who prevail in this world, please heed me. In this and former lives without beginning, in all the states of birth within samsara, I have committed evil deeds. I have instigated others and found joy in their crimes. I have stolen the wealth of stupas, the Sangha community, and the Sangha of the 10 directions. I have incited others to steal and found joy in their thefts. I have committed the 5 immediate sins, have incited others to commit them, and have found joy in their downfalls. I have fully entered the path of engaging in the 10 unwholesome deeds, have incited others to enter it, and have found joy in their submission. Obscured by all these karmic veils, I and sentient beings have gone to hell, have gone to the birthplaces of animals, have gone to the worlds of hungry ghosts, have taken birth in savage places as barbarians, as long-lived gods, and as humans with impaired sense faculties. I have turned to corrupted views and karmic obscurations from having failed to please the Buddhas I encountered. In the presence of the Bhagavan Buddha's wisdom mind, before their eyes, in their witness, before the authentic ones, the all-knowing ones, the all-seeing ones, I disclose all these karmic obscurations. I declare them, I shall not hide them, and hereafter I shall sever and bind them. All Buddhas, transcendent conquerors, please heed us. I gather all the roots of virtue I have accumulated in cyclic existence through having acted generously towards another samsaric sentient being, even only offering a mouthful of food to those born in the animal realm. Together with any root of virtue from having guarded moral discipline, any root of virtue from having practiced pure conduct, any root of virtue from having brought sentient beings to full maturity, any root of virtue from having given rise to bodhicitta, the mind set on a supreme awakening, and any root of virtue from unsurpassed primordial awareness accumulated in this and former lives without beginning within samsara, all these I dedicate them perfectly, supremely, most supremely, and sublimely towards unsurpassed, perfectly complete awakening. Just as the previous Bhagavan Buddhas perfectly perform dedication, and just as the Bhagavan Buddhas who have not yet appeared will perfectly perform dedication, and just as the present Bhagavan Buddhas perfectly perform dedication, likewise shall I perform perfect dedication. I confess each and every wrongdoing and rejoice in all merit. I exhort and supplicate all Buddhas that I may attain unsurpassed, most excellent primordial wisdom. With our palms joined together, we wholeheartedly take refuge in all those with praiseworthy qualities as infinite as a vast ocean, all the Buddhas supreme among humans who exist at present, who have passed into nirvana, and those who have not yet appeared. So again here in the notes, from Shantideva, it says, throughout the 3 times of the day and night, one should recite the Sutra of the 3 heaps. By that means, one will quell the remaining downfalls because of one's reliance on the victorious ones and bodhicitta, the mind set on enlightenment. So now we continue in looking at the text itself. Yeah? Yesterday, we were on page 55. Yeah? So in the middle of page 55, it says, yeah, because of having done, for example, those negative actions, those unskillful actions, and in particular, what is highlighted in this liturgy, in this practice, is stealing the wealth of stupas, the Sangha community, the immediate Sangha community, and then the extended Sangha community called the Sangha of the 10 directions. Committed the 5 immediate negative actions or sins, and also then more generally the 10 unskillful, the 10 unwholesome deeds called the akusala karma. So the negative harmful deeds. With regards to these, we have either done it ourselves, we have incited others, we have instigated others to do it, or we have also rejoiced. We have also rejoiced in it. So these three ways, are the ways in which we can get involved in any action, whether positive or negative. Of course, here we're focused on removing the negativities, so it discusses only these negative actions. Likewise, like positive actions, whether we do it ourselves, and we encourage other people to do it, or we rejoice in the doing it, it will also bring the corresponding effect. So because of that, right, it says, because of having done those negative, unskillful actions, so we have so many, previous lifetimes, we have no idea what we have done or not done. Sometimes we look in the news or we read in history about certain individuals who have done such negative, such terrible things, and we think, luckily I've not done them. Well, maybe not done them this life, but we don't know, if we have done them in previous lifetimes. And then we think, I won't do these things, Or again, hard to say. If the conditions all come together, and sometimes conditions are so powerful. If the conditions all come together, as long as we have the causes that lay within our minds, within our karmic bank, as long as we have the causes, the seeds, when those seeds meet with the right conditions, they will sprout. Likewise, right? The good seeds, when they meet with the good conditions, they will sprout too. And so this is not just all about negative, bad news. But because of the context of this practice, we are focused on the negative that needs to be purified, the negatives that need to be cleansed, that needs to be removed. But the basic principle is that, in our karmic banks, we have all sorts of seeds. Some very negative seeds, some very positive seeds, a bunch of seeds that are in varying degrees of positive and negative. For them to ripen, they need to meet supporting conditions. And supporting conditions are conditions provided by others. And so now we see how interdependence works. Ultimately, results will not come if there were no causes. Causes alone without conditions will also not be possible for these seeds to ripen, to bear, to sprout, and then to sprout, and then to bear fruit. So sometimes sprout, between sprouting and bearing fruit, depending on what kind of seeds, what kind of plants, right? Some take a month, some take 2 years. Between sprouting from the ground, the seed sprouting, and then growing, and then bearing fruit. It takes long time or short time. So putting ourselves, in situations where there are more supporting conditions for virtuous, skillful seeds to ripen, then it will encourage the ripening of these skillful seeds. But if we constantly put ourselves in situations where we know all the conditions for negative seeds are going to ripen, then of course, we will experience tremendous chaos in our lives. So to make the decision to avoid even conditions, that is when making choices about where we are, how we spend our time, it's not only just, it's not only limited to, therefore not creating negative causes, but it's also not putting ourselves in situations and conditions where it's detrimental to us. Just like an alcoholic should not work as a bartender. It's just bad news. And if you have low immune system, you should not work as a nurse. Even if it is a very noble aspiration, I want to help heal the sick. If you have very weak immune system, probably not a good idea, right? Yeah. So here it says, because of these negative actions and activities obscured by these karmic veils, these karmic obscurations, then, we have gone to the hell realms. We have gone to the birthplaces of animals. And we have gone to the worlds of the hungry ghosts. These are called the 3 lower realms. So within the 6 realms of samsara, these are the 3 lower realms. The 3 higher realms are the human realm, the realm of the demigods, and the realm of the gods. Those are called the 3 higher realms. So the 3 lower and the 3 higher realms of cyclic existence or samsaric existence, in particular our negative karma, have dragged us down to these 3 lower realms. Then even in the 3 higher realms, one could be born in the savage places as barbarians, being born as long-lived gods, or in the human realm, being born with impaired sense faculties. So these savage places as barbarians, they are like demigods. The demigods are characterized by very contentious, always fighting, always caught up in jealousy, resentment, and they fight. And so that is the savage places as barbarians. Although not explicitly saying as demigods, we can understand that this next line is about the faults of even the so-called 3 higher realms within samsara. Then the problem of the long-lived gods. We become so engrossed in temporary happiness, temporary pleasures, that we become oblivious to the dangers of samsara. And then we get trapped there. It says somewhere, Gampopa's jewel ornament, quoting one of the sutras, it says, when these gods begin to experience signs of impermanence, it will come as such a shock that it is 16 times worse than the actual experience of the hell realms. When gods finally begin to see signs of their impermanence, of them needing to leave behind all their godly pleasures, it's said that it feels 16 times more terrible than the actual experience of being born in the hell realms. In a way, people who don't have much, when something negative happens to them, because they're so used to it, it's not so devastating in a way. This is not to encourage us saying, oh, it's good for you to be poor and miserable, because when bad things happen to you, you won't feel it so terribly. That's not the take-home lesson, okay? But the take-home lesson is like, again, don't get so carried away by how comfortable things are. Because when that comfort gets yanked away from you, it's like when you have been so pampered, a paper cut occupies your mind the whole day. Those of us who don't do manual labor, a paper cut can be like birth in the hell realms. Whereas those who do manual labor, they get cuts, they are bleeding, they are bruised, and it's like it doesn't really register anymore. right? So in that way, you know, the more comfortable, the more things are, you know, going so well, the more we have to be mindful and alert to, not like being fooled into forgetting that things change. And when they change, you know, we will be so thrown out of, everything will go upside down, right? So we have to train our minds, we have to train our hearts to become tough. So in that sense, sometimes it's good to self-impose some toughness, because there, as a form of training, you can stop it when you want to stop it, right? Rather than when, right, something happens to you and you have no control. So train while you have control. Train while you have control. So things like, you know, I'm turning off my internet for 3 days. Train while you have control. Rather than, you know, it's yanked out of you and you have no control. Train while you have control. Yeah? Do things that are a little difficult, you know. Don't always, you know, just go for the easiest way of doing something. Again, take-home lesson is not to be, take-home lesson isn't to be difficult, especially if to be difficult and causing problems to other people. I often say to people, I said, you know, don't let your Dharma practice, you know, be someone else's problem. That's very important, no matter where, but especially if we are in the West, where maybe in your family you're the only person who practices. In Asia too, you know, even though everyone more or less are kind of Buddhist, you know, even that, you know, most people don't practice the way we are talking about practice. But then especially in the West, when not only do your family and friends might not practice, some might even think, you know, this is kind of crazy, or some might even think, you know, this is like, you know, something terrible. Then especially, you know, don't let your Dharma practice be someone else's problem. Be aware of that. Of course, you know, at the same time, it doesn't mean, you know, oh, then I will just go along with whatever they want. Then you will also not be able to practice Dharma. You have to practice a balance of knowing when to say no, and also knowing when you are simply, right, using Dharma to inconvenience people around you. Also, don't do that. Then people will resent our Dharma practice. Then we will alienate them from the Dharma. So especially with the Bodhisattva motivation, we have to be careful about our conduct. It is not enough to just say, you know, if my conscience is free, it's fine. That is in a way you say the Hinayana limit. If my conscience is free, if I know I'm right, then I don't care, right? That is a limited good. That protects yourself from suffering. But if you take the Mahayana view, again here, terms like Hinayana and Mahayana does not refer to any other Buddhist tradition. It refers to within this tradition of practicing our motivation. So if strictly in the Hinayana concern, then it's true, yeah? As long as my conscience is free, I know I did not intend to harm, I know I wasn't planning to cause the harm and all that. If people feel that they have been harmed, I cannot help it. I can only guard my own, right? True. But if you begin to introduce some Mahayana perspective into this, then first, yes, your conscience needs to be clear. with regards to how you conduct yourself and what you do. But you have to take the next step of ensuring that others are also helped. So that it's not enough to say, well, I didn't mean it that way. Now you will take the trouble to make sure that even as you act, your actions will be more friendly to other people, seeing how it's benefiting them. So this wanting other people to see how your actions are also benefiting them is not coming from the position of wanting them to praise you and wanting them to like you, but wanting them to be attracted to the Dharma. Not wanting them to convert to Buddhism, that's not the point. The point is wanting them to see and to appreciate. Basically, karma, cause and effect. So then we become careful with how we conduct ourselves, not just for our own purposes, but for the purposes of others. And so this point is also really important. So now it says, in the presence of the Bhagavan Buddha's wisdom mind, before their eyes, in their witness, before these authentic ones. They are authentic ones because, they've gone beyond all deception. Meaning they don't deceive themselves and they don't deceive others. So they are true, they are authentic. The all-knowing ones, the all-seeing ones. Whenever in Buddhist tradition, these qualities of all-knowing and all-seeing, and we have to try to separate them from our theistic notions of all-knowing and all-seeing. A theistic notion of all-knowing and all-seeing often implies, someone is watching you, you better behave yourself. Yeah? That's the theistic all-knowing, all-seeing, right? Someone is watching you, so you better behave yourself. Otherwise, ... In Buddhist sources, whenever we say, oh, Buddhas are all-seeing, Buddhas are all-knowing, the emphasis there is not that they see what you are doing and they will judge you, or they see what you are doing, therefore watch out, but rather it's emphasizing that they are beyond confusion. And because they see everything, they know everything, therefore they have taught us how to be free, how to not come under the control of confusion. So they are all-knowing and all-seeing in that way. So we know we can trust what they have taught because they know how suffering works, how happiness works. So here they're not all-knowing and all-seeing so that they can spy on us and, punish us for misbehaving. Not Santa Claus, He sees you when you're sleeping. He sees you when you're good or bad. And then, whether he'll give you presents or give you a lump of coal. So in the presence of these Buddhas, we disclose all these karmic obscurations, all these karmic veils. We declare them, we shall not hide them. So here, not hide them, we declare them, we expose them, and in doing so, we shall sever, cut and bind, meaning they are bound, they are controlled, they are no longer going to trick us and fool us. So the second part, the second element, the second section is recognizing, revealing, exposing, no longer hiding. So here, confession, when we say confession, again, is not so much the idea of you have offended someone and you go confess to them. That is more a theistic notion. Yeah? In God-based religion, when you do confession, it is about you have offended God. So you need to seek restitution with God. Here, it is more about recognizing the confused ways that we have acted in the past and giving rise to regret for that, but also to stop, to prevent future acting in this way. So again, like I said, the restitution part, the part where do you recognize that you have offended others with your ways of acting? Or in Buddhist terms, do you recognize that you have harmed others and yourself in acting this way? That element is not so strongly emphasized in these practices. But that element of recognizing how you have harmed others, the impact of your actions on others, even when you don't intend it, that element is still important to recognize. And then the element of restitution is still important. That is part of that remedy. So the outer aspect, you could say, of the remedy is to try to make up for the wrongs that have been done. The inner aspect is what is emphasized in this practice. More explicitly emphasized, which is the mind level, to uproot those seeds. Because those seeds will produce more seeds and produce more seeds and produce more seeds. So even though this text emphasizes more the inner aspects, but the outer and the inner have to work in tandem. It's just like if the outer bark of the tree is constantly being damaged, eventually the tree dies. Yeah. Likewise, if the tree has a disease and is rotting from the inside, then no matter how nice the bark, the outer layers, also the tree dies. So I think we have to pay attention to outer and inner aspects. Explicitly, this confession practice is about training the inner aspect. But we should not neglect the outer aspect as well. To try to address the harm that we have created. So today, in terms of the main program, we will stop here. Please turn to page 63. Please act according to the pledge you took when you engaged in bodhisattva deeds and thus purify the negativities and downfalls of myself and other beings. By apprehending your name, by repeating and calling it again and again, I supplicate you to purify, exhaust, and cleanse entirely the negativities, downfalls, and obscurations of all wandering beings. In these evil times, sentient beings' actions are degraded, impure and unawakened. Our minds are suffused with negative emotions. Our offerings are scanty. They are marred by stains and other faults. Please forgive us all mistakes. The auspicious verses on the next page. The light of boundless compassion clears away the evil states and dispels demonic forces, hindrances, and hosts of wickedness. May the splendid power of the victorious ones, equal to 100,000 suns, bring forth the happiness and fortune of infinite living. The stream of nectar flowing from the immaculate Dharmadhatu space fully cleanses and the stains of evil tendencies. May the splendid power of the holy Dharma, of the cessation and path, bring forth the happiness and fortune of infinite living. In order to eliminate the endless torment of cyclic existence, you have not abandoned the heavy burden of your vows and aspirations. May the splendid power of the ocean of great and noble bodhisattvas bring forth the happiness and fortune of infinite living beings. Now the dedication of Sukhavati. Sanje Namwa Taye Dang Yesu Jobo Tuje Jimbo Dang Yondu Semba Tuje Tonam La Sanje Changsen Pame Gorgi Go Deki Ngosa Pakdu Mepa Ye Dewa Chinse Showe Shinkamde Dashen Dine Sebo Girma Tagewa Sengi Barma Chobaru Deru Kene Nante Shatong Sho Deke Dagi Monlam Tapadi Choju Sanje Chansen Tamche Gi Geme Drupa Jinji Labduzo Deyata Benzadriya Awa Buddhanaya So Changchu Semchu Rinpoche Magye Banam Ge Gyuche Ge Banyam Pame Payam Gone Gong Du Bewar Sho. So as usual, I'll leave a little bit of time for those of you who can stick around to maybe have some discussions or questions or comments.
Dr. Lai.
Mm-hmm.
Maurice. I have a question about on page 58.
Sure.
It's the line, who exist at present, those who have passed into nirvana and those who have not yet appeared.
Yes.
Is that the same nirvana as we talked about before?
No, not necessarily. Here it's just an expression in terms of saying, you know, Buddhas have come in the past, Buddhas who are present now, and Buddhas who will be coming in the future.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a poetic way of saying that. From one perspective, we say Buddhas who have passed into nirvana, because yes, in the sutras, in the tantras, you see this expression. They say Buddhas who have passed into nirvana. Yeah, that is a way of saying like the kind of like Buddha Shakyamuni, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
2,500 years ago, 2,600 years ago, after living for about 80 years, he passed away, right?
Yeah.
So we say he has passed into nirvana. It's like a euphemism. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then for some Buddhists, they do say that he's gone, finished. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
There's no point. Some Buddhists will say, there's no point even really thinking that he's present, because he's not present anymore. Yeah. So they have that view. From the Mahayana view, we say, no. He neither comes nor goes. But it's only because of our lack of merit, then he's not present in the way that he was in India, 2,500 years ago anymore. But it doesn't mean that he's not present if we invoke him. His presence can be experienced. We can connect with. But this is not like when we invoke him, he goes, okay, guys, wherever he is, like, I gotta go, Han is calling, not in that way that he moves about. Because here we say, that Buddha element, so in less personalized terms, personalized in the Buddha Shakyamuni, but in more like impersonal terms, you could say the Buddha element, which is the clarity without confusion, that is present.
Okay.
If we become mindful of that quality can illuminate our own darkness. Yeah. So it's impersonal in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments?
I'd like to comment on something.
Mhm.
One time someone told me, okay, so of course we're in the human realm now, but it's really interesting to look that within this realm, we go to many of the realms. Like, let's say on the weekend you go and you party and you drink and you're kind of in the animal realm, and then on
Mhm.
Monday you get dressed up in your nice clothes and you go to God's realm. And a lot of times we live like an animal, we eat and sleep, and that's the main thing we want to do. It's a really interesting way to look at it for me.
Yes.
It was really helpful.
Dr. Lai,
Mm-hmm.
when you said our practice shouldn't become a problem for others, what if others are making a problem? Like my dad and my stepmom are having a big problem with me being a Buddhist and being gay. And it's more so since they got involved with a certain church. And my stepmom, she was like, it hurts my heart when I see you post things on Facebook with monks. And so I unfriended her. Did I do the right thing?
Yeah, you unfriend her on Facebook, and then, your mother is your mother. You check in with your mother. Your mother doesn't need to see what you post on Facebook.
Yeah, that's true.
Then, when you're around them, just avoid all talk about, Dharma, because it will just, because it translates differently to them. So like, when Urban Dharma first opened, I kind of would say to the volunteers, I said, if people come in and they ask you things like, do Buddhists believe in God? I said, you have to assess the situation and see. Do your best, kind of, and kind of gauge and see, what is this person really asking? Yeah. And of course, then we have to use our own kind of limited judgment. And I said, not to be, but you like, if it looks like they are not really asking this question because they want to learn the Dharma, yeah, if it looks like they are asking it rather suspiciously, then the answer to, do Buddhists believe in God? You have to say, yes, we do. This is not the time to go, well, theistic, blah, blah, blah. It's a non-theistic, blah, blah, blah. Because to many people, especially in this area, not Asheville itself, but people from maybe further out, when they come visit on the weekends, when they ask, do Buddhists believe in God? If you say no, it doesn't matter what you mean when you say no. What that translates to for them is you like torture goats on the weekend, and pour goat blood on your kids, and bathe them in goat blood, and ultimately to sacrifice your kids when the day comes. That's what it translates to when it says, I don't believe in God. So you have to be sensitive to what are they really asking, And what they're really asking is, do you believe that, there is such a thing as good and you should be on the side of good? Well, yeah, of course. And so you can say without lying, oh yeah, Buddhists believe in God. So in that training, people say, well, what if they say, and who is your God? They're likely to, because then they want you to say it's Jesus. But even that, when they want you to say it's Jesus, because their point of reference, the only good in the world is Jesus and what Jesus represents. Fine. So now the next step is, they say, do you believe in Jesus? Oh, you can still say yes. Yes. Then they'll be like, oh, really? And the point is this, it's like, lead the conversation to, I believe in love, I believe in compassion, I believe in forgiveness, I believe in being charitable, and nobody can argue with that.
I told them it's just not open for discussion anymore.
Telling is no point.
Okay.
Telling is no point. Telling is no point. Because it triggers. So my first thing that I said, avoid even. And then when it comes up, and then no choice, it comes up, then you can say, yeah. And yeah, when I say, don't let your practice be a problem, your Dharma be a problem, you don't want to say things like, oh, no, I can't come to that birthday party because I have a retreat I have to do. You have just added ammunition. You have just added fuel to that fire.
Well, that's what happened last year. I was going to my dad's birthday, and I read avoid family feast today, so I didn't go. So was that a big mistake on my part?
You're just adding ammunition to, you're just adding fuel to the fire.
Okay.
Even when I was a child, growing up in a Buddhist-friendly family, we are technically Buddhist. Because of what I knew about my parents' anxiety, I've told this story, not so publicly, but now maybe they're watching this, they go, aha, we know what you were doing. Me as a problem child, as a teenager, was a little different what the problems that I gave my parents, which is I would sneak out to go to temples and pretend that I just went partying. So I have to change all my clothes because my clothes would stink of incense. I have to quickly come in and rush upstairs and shower away all the smells of temple. Because I know what kind of anxieties it will In the Asian picture, the anxiety is like, oh my God, he's going to leave us behind and become a monk. Well, partly true, you know, in varying degrees. You know, I've ran away from Malaysia. Not for that reason, but, you know, you have to be skillful about how you manage people's projections and anxieties. Without yourself become all anxious and, you know, when I say manage, I don't mean like, you know, like doing ridiculous things, but you just have to be aware. So do it with the bodhisattva intent. Then you cannot go wrong if you do it with the bodhisattva intent.
Thank you, Dr. Lai.
Yeah, it's when the intent is mixed up with our own insecurities, our own need to kind of assert ourselves, and that doesn't make us a bad person, but that just means it's going to be messy, you know. I mean, our human condition is that it's always mixed up with our insecurities, our need to assert ourselves, and sometimes even our need to like maybe harm the other person. I mean, let's be honest, you know. We're trying to practice, but it doesn't mean, you know, that suddenly our motivation is all pure. So then what we learn is like, even if our motivation cannot be pure, at least we have some clarity about that situation. Like when I say to them, no, I can't come because, you know, my calendar says this is a terrible day, you know, it's not entirely out of bodhisattva motivation. It's like, it's a way of like, and it's like, oh, what to do, you know? I'm still at the level where from time to time you go, right? That's the condition of samsaric existence, you know. We can look at someone, you know, and we totally understand all the challenges and all the difficulties this person had. I mean, I'll be honest, you know, that person can still annoy me. And when that person annoys me, you know, even if I understand all their challenges, all their difficulties, I still sometimes feel like shoving them, you know. Just be clear about that and say, you know what? Look at this, you know, how easily, you know, we let these things get, you know. And even if we don't literally go, right? I still think, you know, like, karma is going to get you. I don't need to do it. Yeah, that's still not yet, you know, very good motivation. But at least I'm not physically going, I say, well, karma is going to get you. You know, I don't need to do anything. So now it's a little bit better. It's not yet, where it should be. But it's a little bit better now. Right? When at least you can say, well, karma is going to get you. I don't need to put in. I don't need to do it myself. Then, you know, on those days where instead of karma is going to get you, like, you know, oh, karma is going to get that person, you know, I will pray for that person. Genuinely, oh, now it's like, okay, this is a good moment, you know. This is a good moment. And you recognize that and you say, this is good. I should find ways to operate more in this way. Mothers and fathers, those closest to us, are the most complicated of a karma with them. So in the Chinese tradition, they say, you know, children are born to you to exact vengeance and to repay kindness. Your worst enemies are either going to be from past lifetimes, will be born as your parents, will be born as your kids, or you will be born to them as kids. Your worst enemies and your greatest benefactors, they are the ones that will come again and again, lifetime to lifetime, the most complicated karma. We have to work through those karma. If we continue forward with with negativity, then lifetime to lifetime, we will come back and exact vengeance to each other. But if we make a resolve, no matter how difficult it is now, like what can I do, so that I am more operating along the lines of repaying kindness, then, let it be, right? So there is the added point that you brought up. You said they cannot accept that you're gay. Okay, fine. Yeah. First of all, you have to accept that. Then you say, they cannot accept what, I know nothing I can do to change them, Again, don't flaunt that and just keep adding fuel to that, I know you don't do that, I'm just saying, just don't do that, right? But also, the moment you really get it, like, I don't care, I'm okay with it, then it doesn't matter what they say anymore. It doesn't, you're like, that's their limitation. That's where they are stuck in, Unfortunately, they're meeting the conditions, as you said. Yeah, they've joined. That's the example. They have put themselves in the condition where they are being encouraged, right, to focus on this set of things as to what is wrong with the world. Yeah, so we can pray for them, for those conditions to change. Causes still come from them, no doubt. But if we want to, not want to, I'm not saying that you are intentionally wanting to, because we cannot control our emotions. Yeah? Often we gravitate to the hurts that people have done us more readily than the happiness that people have given us. Really. We often gravitate in that direction. So we need to intentionally reroute things. So first of all, our parents are not perfect, just as we are not perfect. If you count one way, they are more perfect than you. If you count another way, you're more perfect than them. Bottom line, neither are perfect. So once we can accept that, like neither are perfect, it's just a matter of how you do this accounting. Then it's either profit or loss. But the bottom line is neither are perfect, right? Then from there we say, okay, now I'm just going to choose the route of repaying kindness rather than exacting vengeance. Then from lifetime to lifetime, we will repay each other's kindness. Other questions or comments? Okay, repaying each other's kindness, doesn't mean, you now all have like halos on your head, Probably you'll still argue, probably you'll still fight, But in the heart, the fighting and the what, it's okay. That's just like a display, Questions, comments?
I want to say one more thing. Someone told me that really helped me. Just remember, everybody's doing the best they can at any given moment. This really helped me a lot. Kind of online what we're talking about.
Yeah, so this will continue, and this Saturday is Sakadawa Duchen. Sakadawa Duchen, even though Saturday is the main day, in fact, we probably will end a little bit earlier, do a shorter practice, in part because I have double booked months before. Even before I knew it was Sakadawa Duchen, I already committed to a weekend program with Casa Tibet in Mexico City and that particular network. So I'm doing a weekend program with them. So I will start this program, and then immediately when we end this, I start that program for the rest of the day, and next day on Sunday. So just FYI, on Saturday it will be a shorter program. So some of you have joined this, because you saw on Facebook, and and some of you are connected to some of the networks that I teach at. So if you want to do more things together, you already know how to do that. Then those of you who don't know, every Wednesday there is a program that I do open to people who want to practice together at least on Wednesday once a week. The commitment is to attend at least once a week on that Wednesday night. Even though I will give practices that if people choose to do it as a daily practice and do more than once a week, certainly that will be very good. But joining this group called the Drigong Dharmakirti International Sangha does not involve making a commitment to do that, to do those practices. The commitment is to come every Wednesday. Well, Wednesday, if you're in the Western Hemisphere, rather otherwise it's Thursday morning. So if Omar, you can type the information share the link on Join Sangha on Drigong Dharmakirti website. There's a link called Join Sangha. If you can share in the chat there that link, then if there's anyone who doesn't know what it is about, you can go take a look there, how it's described there. And also in the Drigong Dharmakirti YouTube channel, there is a playlist for those Wednesday night Sangha meetings, especially the first couple of videos, the earliest videos. I talk about what it means to be part of Drigong Dharmakirti Sangha. The link that Omar shares is some written explanation, as well as a application form, so to say. It's not the case that you're going to get the form and then we're going to go, oh, rejected, no, you don't qualify. No, it's just the form is an exercise in kind of helping you think through a little bit about, is this really something I want to do? Is this something that I can commit to? So again, just FYI for your information, if you want to, beyond these 2 weeks, want to keep in contact and a regular contact and doing practices together, Wednesday night, 7 to 9 p.m. New York time is when we meet. Yeah, that's it for today. You all take care and have a good day, a good night, and ta-ta.
Gracias.
Thank you, Dr.
Gracias,
Gracias, Dr. Wright.
Gracias.
Felicidades,
Adiós.
Melissa.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Thank
hasta
you.
mañana.
Gracias.
Gracias. Hasta mañana.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.